All right, welcome back to another No Huddle football game. My name is Brian Hafferkamp. I'm the designer and creator of No Huddle Football. And I'm going to very quickly walk through sort of the latest iteration of the game. The game is continuing to change and evolve as I get more feedback and as I begin to include some of the things that I've really wanted to include into the game. So this is the way the setup looks now. I've consolidated the kicking, the penalties, and the rare plays sort of all into one chart. So here's kicking, here's the two penalty charts, and then here are the fumble and interception charts. You look to the fumble and interception charts if you hit a fumble or an interception result. If the roll on the play chart is -2, so after you've made the defensive adjustment and the offensive adjustments, if the roll comes out to be less than 2, so it sort of falls off the chart, then it's going to be an offensive penalty. So everything to this side of the chart is sort of bad for the offense. Everything to this side of the chart is good for the offense. So this would be offensive penalties. And if the roller is greater than 20, then it's going to be a defensive penalty. So we have several penalties here. Many of them on the defense result in a first down. On the offense, there are a couple of big ones in here, a lot of small ones like false starts and holds and things like that. But there is an unsportsmanlike, there's an unnecessary roughness on the offense as well. So there's a couple of big penalties that are in there. There's holding. These in the middle are probably going to be more often the ones that you roll. But, I've gotten several of these different plays here. We have our punting and kickoffs sort of consolidated into one punting chart, one kickoff chart. We have our coffin corner kick, which I guess technically all of these could sort of be put into two charts. I could put these two things together here as well, just an extra column for the coffin corner punt, which you can do when you're at the 50-yard line or closer to your opponent. So let's say you're at the opposing team's 47 and it's 4th down and 8 and you don't want to go for it. You can kick it and try to pin them in deeper. For an onside kick, we have two results here that result in the kicking team getting the ball. Otherwise, it's the receiving team, or there's an out of bounds as well, which does happen on onside kicks. So that's the kicking chart. That's one chart. The other chart that you'll need is the auto offense chart and auto defense chart. If you're going to play solo and you don't want to call plays for both teams. So that's the only reason that you would need this chart. Other than, I guess you would need it for the defensive effects, but you only use the auto offense and defense if you want to sort of do a computer or AI or a simulated portion of the game. So if you're on defense and you want to call defense and you want to just use the auto offense, you can do that. Or you can do auto for both and just kind of watch the game play out for each team. Or you can call plays for both teams. I've also added a goal line side. So this is all part of the same file. I just printed it on two different sides to kind of make it easy to have that. So goal line, there's no deep passes on the goal line. So this is everything. Let's say it's whatever in goal to go. That's essentially when you're using it, not when you're right at the goal line. But let's say, even if it's first and goal from the 12, you can still run those plays. So I have medium, short passes, screen passes, draws, inside and outside runs, and just kind of where those things make sense as well. I just mostly replace the deep pass, and I replace the you can see that the defense here includes a nickel, dime, prevent. There's no need for all of that. And so I just sort of put some base defenses in a goal line defense here. If I need to keep the 4-6, if people want to keep the 4-6, just let me know and I can add that back in. But nobody actually runs a 4-6 defense. I put that on there because people have run it in the past. Famously, the Bears and any Buddy Ryan teams, including the Bears, have run that 4-6 Bear defense. So, but nobody today runs that. I look through 2021, every single team runs a version of the 4-3 or the 3-4. That's their base defense. Nobody runs anything different than that. Now they may run a cover 2 out of that 4-3 all the time or whatever, but they don't actually run a different base defense. So everything that you're going to see is going to come off of these. But if you did want to run a Bear defense, you could call that and say, I'm going to run a 4-6, or you could just make that your base defense. Okay, so the charts are looking a little bit different because I added in these player finders. So I've got it on both sides. Actually, all 4 teams from the NFC West I have. So we have our play chart here. I reworked this section up here to be a little bit more prominent so you can see their base defense. You can see the offensive adjustment and the defensive adjustment. So LA was a +1 on offense and defense. That means they were in the top 10 in the NFL, not just in the conference, but in the NFL in offense and scoring offense and scoring defense. So they're going to get a +1 in each of those areas. You can see here that San Francisco was only in the top 10 in scoring defense, not in scoring offense. So they get a +1 on the defense. LA gets a +1 on offense and defense. So this means that this +1 is basically negated by this offensive 1. So anytime LA is running a play, there's no extra adjustment there. The adjustment only comes from the defensive adjustment. But when San Francisco is on offense, they don't have a counterbalance with their offense against the defense. So every play is this adjustment minus an extra 1. So it's been tough sledding in this game. I have a game going. I've got 2 more possessions for San Francisco, 1 for LA. The score is 48-32. This is LA at San Francisco. Los Angeles basically was on a scoring binge there for a while. San Francisco, you can see how many scores there were in the third quarter. Basically, every time someone touched the ball, they were scoring. And I finally figured out I've been playing with San Francisco and calling plays, and then LA is just playing off of the auto charts. No answers really for LA. In fact, through this third quarter, it was like every time I wanted a high number, I got a high number. And every time they needed a high number, they got a high number. So there's some pretty big chunk plays and stuff like that in here. 20-yard passing TD, several field goals. That's a 21-yard pass for a touchdown by LA. So it's been third quarter has been a little bit different than the fourth. The fourth has gotten a little bit tighter. So forcing a punt by LA. LA's about to get the ball. There's just a touchdown by San Francisco. There's a field goal early. Held LA to several field goals here. So it was a tough go early on. This is there was an interception here by San Francisco. LA takes over at the San Francisco 35. There's a rush, and then bam, 33 yards in the air from Stafford. So, there have just been some different plays like that have kind of turned the game early. And definitely, 28-3 at half. It was our score. It's 48-32. So, what is that? It's been 29-20. San Francisco's outscored them just in the second half. So I found a nice little groove with the medium pass. And some of it is kind of like figuring out what plays are going to work. against this particular defense, because everybody's defense shifts a little bit because of these extra numbers. So you have your sort of base defense here and the way that it's going to play out normally if there's no other effects. But then you've got sort of these individual types of things. If you want to play with the team attributes, I've continued to put those on there. In fact, if you wanted to just play no huddle sort of from its early inception, just as a team-based game, I've got all of these values in here still, so you could play off the pass and the rush, and you got these field goal values, or you can use the field goal kicking or mix and match. Excuse me, however you want to, and that's kind of the beauty of the game. When you build a basic version and then you build a more complex version on top, and you kind of keep all of the elements together, you actually can play the game sort of speed version or faster version for a while, and then maybe in the fourth quarter you want to play with the player finder and all that kind of stuff. So but we have our players here. We have for rushing plays, receiving plays, sacks, interceptions, and pass defenses. So all of those are plays that are up here. You can see there's a pass defense, there's a hurry, which you could use the sack one for the hurry. We have interceptions, we have fumbles. We have a penalty chart here. So basically this is the top 10 offensive players by number of snaps, and then top 10 defensive players by number of snaps. And if you run into a penalty and you have to use the penalty chart, and there's either an offense or a defensive penalty, if you want to find out who that is, you would roll your D10 and then sort of cross-reference that roll number with whatever player, and you can get the offensive or defensive penalty and apply that to an actual player. Or, maybe you want to write down these things. Maybe you just want to have it for the color of the game. Whatever you want to do. And what you would do is you either call the player out. So I'm going to run the ball with Sony Michel, and then you run the play. Or you can run the play, it's a rush for 4 yards. Let me roll a D6 and I'll see who ran the ball that time. So, and the same thing with the pass play. It was a pass for 14 yards. Who did it go to? I roll my D6, and now I get which player received the pass. Obviously, you would know which quarterback is in there, so you would know which quarterback to apply, to apply the passing yards to. We have our kicking chart here. Our kicking charts are different for each team, so you can see them both next to each other. So very good kicking over here, very good kicking over here, but definitely not the same, right? But pretty close. They're both 84% field goal percentage for San Francisco and 94% for LA. All right, I think that is all of the game setup. So I have one chart, two charts, and then team cards, and then I have a score sheet over here. So the game footprint is actually quite small. A lot of information is here, right on the team cards themselves. Now these team cards are, you can see they're not quite a full sheet of paper in landscape. So you had to trim off just a little bit. But I actually, they're not. I wanted to keep them big because it gets really hard to see all this information if you try to put two of them on one page. I've tried that in every variation that I could, but in the end, you got to be able to see all of these. And I know not everybody playing these has super young eyes, and so I want to be very cognizant and aware of that as well whenever I'm creating these charts. Same with this. You just want to have it nice and big because these are charts that you're going to be on every single play. So you got to be able to see them, and you got to know what's going on. So we got LA with the ball. They are going to receive the kickoff, actually. So let's go ahead and we have our kickoff chart here, and we're going to roll 2 D10s. Gameplay hasn't changed any. I've just added the player finder in and, just changed up some of the layout stuff a little bit. LA is on the road, So my home dice is here, or my home die, and then this is my away die. So I'm going to check the home one first because home team is kicking off. That's going to be a touchback, and no need to do anything else. So LA takes over at their own 25. And I'm just going to play out the last bit of this game just so you can get a feel, and I'll use the player finder. Hopefully I can remember everything. I was in a nice little groove in the last game that I was playing. But again, I am playing San Francisco, so I'm going to be the defense. And I'll just show you how I use play calling myself with the auto play calling system. So I'm just going to run the base defense. Base defense for me is a 4-3, so I'm really looking in this column. No blitz, just a base defense. And I'm looking here. So remember, my white die is my away die. And so I'm looking at the auto offense right now with LA on offense. They're going to run an inside run against my 4-3, which is a -4. So that's really good. So that means I'm going to take 4 off of this 2d10 roll. And again, minus numbers push the results this way, which pushes it to the defense. Red means bad for offense. Green means good for offense. White is an incompletion or no yards. You can see there's no yards. So -4 on the defense. And again, they get a +1, but I have a +1 as well. So essentially that would be -5, and then they have one that makes it -4. Excuse me. And so those sort of cancel each other out. So I play it as if it's just straight up off of this chart because I know that that adjustment is just going to be there for the entire game. And, you know, this would change based on the teams that are playing. So San Francisco is playing against a team that has zeros, you know, that would be a -5. So even stronger against the run. Okay, so we have an inside run against a 4-3. That's a -4. And so then we add our 2 numbers here. That's a 13. 13 -4 is basically like taking away this die here. So we have a 9 and a 9 on an inside run. And then we just find the 9 against the inside run, which is this first column. And that's going to be a rush for 2 yards. So the defense has stiffened a little bit in this game. It's going to be 2nd and 8. I was just having no luck against this offense. And it was just, man, they were just going up and down the field. So 2nd and between for 1 and 10 yards. So it's 2nd down and 8. So we're in this column here. It's a 2. That's going to be a short pass. Short pass, and I'm playing the base defense. So short pass against a base defense is a -2. And again, no extra adjustments. We're playing straight up off of this. So 18 -2, so 10 plus 8. 18 -2 on a short pass is a 16. So then we're going to cross-reference, and that says a D10 plus a D10. So we need to re-roll our D10s. And then adding these two will give us our play. Hopefully you can see that. It'll give us our play result. So that's going to be a pass for 11 yards. So a short pass for 11 yards. And I haven't done the player finder, I realize. So let me do that. So that takes it out to the 38-yard line. And to do our player finder on a pass, we're just going to roll 1 die. And that's a 2. That's going to go to Cooper Kupp. So you can just mark that down. So 11-yard pass to Cooper Kupp. You can see that fully 50%. It was like 48 or something like that. 48% of the plays among these players here went to Cooper Kupp. So most of the time, that's who Stafford was going to. He had a pretty amazing year. Okay, I'm going to do a blitz, and this is going to be 1st and 10. They're running an outside run against my blitz. A 4-3 blitz on an outside run is a -1. So that's going to be 8 minus 1 is 7 on the outside run is going to be a rush for 2 yards. And it's Matthew Stafford who pulls the ball down and goes for a rush outside. And it's going to be 2nd down and 8. You may not feel comfortable with a quarterback there, but, you know, the quarterbacks do. He was the 3rd leading rusher on the team. 2nd down and 8. So we're in this column again. We're base defense. Short is -2 again against a base defense. 13 minus 2 is 11. So we check that against a short pass. And that's going to be a D6 plus a D6. So we roll. That's going to be a 9. Almost as good as you can do. So it's a pass for 9 yards. And that's going to be a 1st down as they get just past the sticks. And that goes to Cup again. So brings up 1st and 10 from the LA 49-yard line. Every little layer that you add is going to add a little bit of extra time to the game, but it also gives you a little extra detail, right? So that's a part of it. Let's run a blitz again. So it's going to be 1st and 10. They're running an inside run against our blitz, which is a -3. And so that's going to be 6 minus 3 is 3 on the inside play. That's a tackle for loss. So we're going to roll our D6, and that's a loss of 3 yards. So rush for -3, and it's Stafford who has to, who sort of pulls it down and runs up the middle for -3 yards. Okay, and it's going to be 2nd down and 13 from the 46. 2nd and 13 from the 46. We're going to run our base defense. So we're looking here at 2nd and long. It's 2nd and 13. So 2nd and long. They're running a screen pass against our base defense. That's going to be a 0, so no adjustment for the defense. This is a 10. A 10 on a screen pass is going to be a D6. So we roll their D6, and that's going to be a pass for 2 yards on the screen. That brings up 3rd and 11 from the 48, from their own 48-yard line. The play goes to it'd be like a tight end screen to Higbee, and so Higbee with the catch. Okay, we're running our blitz. 3rd down and 11. They're running a medium pass, and we have a 4-3 blitz against the medium pass, and that's going to be a +1 to the offense. So they have 11, and that goes to a 12. So on a medium pass, a 12 is a D10 plus 5. So we're going to, I like to roll both dice together. It just makes it a little bit easier. So D10 plus 5 is a 1, and that's a 6-yard gain, and that's going to be short. So that's a pass for 6 yards. That brings up, sorry, I'm going to another column here. So that brings up 4th and 5, and that puts the ball at the 46 of San Francisco. So I'm going to punt here. I can show you the coffin corner punt. So we're inside of 50 yards. Don't want to go for it 4th and 6. We want to see if we can pin they can pin San Francisco down. So inside of 50 yards, less than 50 yards, we can use this coffin corner. Otherwise, if I was on the other side of the 50, I would just use the regular punting chart. So we roll our dice, and really we're only concerned about the white one because that's LA. So we got a 1, and we get a punt block. So there's a 1 in 10 chance there of having a punt block. And we actually get the punt block from San Francisco. Now, what chart you use for that is kind of up to you. You can use the you can use this run screen. Maybe I should just set up a chart for that, for what to do with the blocked punt. But you can use this run screen. I think that that's mostly legit because it gives you some options for the ball being downed past the line of scrimmage or behind the line of scrimmage. So let's just roll against that. Usually I just put it at the line of scrimmage and move on. But we can do something a little bit different in this one. So it's a 4. A 4 is line of scrimmage plus 4. And so we'll take that to be the case. So the ball will be placed at the line of scrimmage plus 4 yards, which would put it at the, sorry, just setting the block punt here. So that would put it at the 42-yard line of San Francisco, 1st and 10. So big play. San Francisco needs some big plays in order to get back in the game. Again, it's 48-32, and San Francisco needs some scores in a pretty bad way. They only have 2 possessions left, so gotta get something going. We're gonna run the medium pass against the we're calling auto defense for LA. And again, we're at 1st and 10. And let's go with the medium pass, like I said. So that's going to be against their base defense. Medium pass against the base 3-4 defense is going to be a -2. And remember, they get an extra 1 on defense. So I don't have anything to cancel out their defensive extra 1. So this turns into a -3. Everything that they do on defense gets 1 extra 1. So that's why it's been kind of tough sledding for San Francisco if they're not getting like super high numbers. So a -3 is a 12. So 15 minus 3 is 12. So we're looking here. 12 on a medium pass is a D10 plus 5. So remember, the black die is for the home team, and that's going to be a pass for 14 yards. So that was a good one. And as long as you're getting those high numbers, everything is okay. So 9, and then that's down to the 45 of Los Angeles, who was the player that was passed to. Juszczyk. So Juszczyk receives that pass. It's going to be 1st and 10 from the LA 45. You're going to run a screen pass on 1st down against the base defense. So a screen is a -2 plus another -1. So it's -3 again, 16. -3 is 13. And that's going to be a D10. I'm sorry, a D10 plus a D13. D10 plus a D10. And that will be another 14-yard gain. So good chunks here. Brings up another 1st down. This will be put down at the 31-yard line. And the player who received that was Kittle. So Kittle with the tight end screen over the middle picks up 14 yards. Okay, next play, what are we going to run? Outside run. Let's run an outside run, 1st and 10. This is coming against their base blitz. Outside run against their base blitz is a +4, which actually turns to a +3 because of their 1 on defense. So we have a 5 plus 3 is 8 on the outside run is a gain of 3 yards. So that brings up 2nd and 7. And that was a little gainer from Samuel. So a little handoff, maybe a little jet sweep from for Samuel as he takes it around the end. They had 4 guys. 3 guys, Mitchell, Wilson, and Samuel. So again, a quarterback didn't play into their number 3 guy running. So let's go throw another medium pass. It's 2nd down and 7 from the, I didn't mark that, from the 28-yard line of Los Angeles. So driving here, San Francisco they need 2 scores and 2 extra 2-point conversions. That's the tie to the game. That's what they need to tie the game. All right, so they got to work on the score first, right? So this is going to be a medium pass against a base blitz, and that will be a -2 to the defense. So that's going to be 13 minus 2 is 11 against a medium pass is just in the completion range. So a D10 plus 5 is going to be 7. 7 plus 5 is 12. So nice pass there from Garoppolo, and that's 1st and 10 from the 16-yard line. Pass there goes to Asante Samuel. Goes to Samuel, Debo Samuel, who catches that one for the 12-yard gain. Let's go with the medium pass again. We're just going to stick with it because if we keep rolling high numbers, we'll be okay. So 1st and 10 from the 16. We're not quite to the goal line yet, so we got to still use our regular sort of normal between the 20s chart. Here's a 5. That's against the base defense, and this is going to be a medium pass. So a -2. So you can see as long as I have a big number, but on the medium pass, if you drop below 11, then it's nothing but trouble. On a short pass, if you drop below 10, then you've got some things that can happen. And on a deep ball, you've got to roll at least a 12 to have a completion. But once you do, the completions can be huge. It's just that when you add in these adjustments to get it up above 12 is more difficult. So you can see how the game sort of shifts the difficulty of getting to some of these plays. Running plays, more positive yards, fewer negative yards, but overall you don't get to gain as many yards. Short passes, easier to complete than medium, which are easier to complete than deep passes, but again, you don't get as many opportunities on the short passes for bigger plays. So even down here with the big play, you don't get the explosive D10 times 2, you get the D6. So there's no chance for a 90 or 100-yard play, but there is here for this sort of medium or deep pass. And I don't know if these things need to be sort of reconfigured or not. I'm still playing it out to see if it's too much yardage and stuff like that, but it feels good right now. And then screen passes are easier to complete, as easy as a short pass, but again, you get more yardage than a short pass, but also it can be stopped with just base defense here. So, but it actually works. A screen pass works pretty well against lots of different defenses. And then a draw play, not as easy to get yardage as a regular run play, but again, you get some pretty big opportunities over here for a draw play, especially, but also it's a high risk play because you have a lot more risk in that play than you do with some of these other ones. So, your risk, your reward starts at, what is that? At 9, but over here the reward starts at 7. So it's really just trying to figure out like which plays are kind of high risk, high reward, medium risk, and then what reward, and then kind of a low risk but low reward type of play where you're just kind of trying to push the ball down the field or be a little bit safer with it as far as fumbles and things like that are concerned. So it's a balance, trying to get those things to work well together. And then each team is going to be just a little bit nuanced and a little bit different than the other. So maybe these two teams are similar or the same, but I know playing with Arizona, they have more completions, so a higher completion percentage. So I think here you get a little higher completion percentage, but they also fumbled more, so they had extra fumbles. So just kind of looking at the little nuances of the teams to make it just a little bit different than the other. Okay, 1st and 10. We had an 18, and I believe it was a -2. So against a medium pass. So 18 minus 2 is 16. 16 here on a medium pass. I should go to the right one. 16 on a medium pass is D10 plus 15. So we're at the 16. So really, this is probably going to be a touchdown. And it is. 16-yard play. That's a pass for 16. And that's going to be a TD. And that's one TD down that the San Francisco 49ers needed. So touchdown from Garoppolo to Deebo Samuel as he takes it in from 16 yards, and that puts the score at 48-38. They still need to hit on the 2-point play, so that's starting from the goal line. I believe they're, what do we put it at? We put it at the 3. I want to say it's at the 3-yard line, but I can't remember if it's the 2 or 3. We're going to play it at the 3 and hope that that's it. So I'm just going to mark it down as first and goal from the 3. And we're going to play this out with our goal line. So we need to use the auto defense for Los Angeles, and I'm going to call a play. So I'm just going to call an inside run. Inside run is going to work on it's going to work on their base defense, and it's not going to work very well against the goal line. So we'll see what they wind up running. So we're using here, and they're running their base defense. So they're lining up in some form of the 3-4, and we have an inside run, so that's a +4, which is good because this number was very low. It's a 4. 4 + 4 is 8. 8 on the inside run is 1 yard, and we cannot stuff it in for the 2-point conversion. So the 2-pointer is no good. So even though we had the huge advantage here with the low roll, it didn't matter. We needed to get up to at least a 10 in order to complete that. And even here an 11 would have been okay. Anything past 10 or from 10 up would have been okay. But we wound up at an 8. So no good is the 2-point conversion, and that's basically the game. We'll see what happens here. So that's going to be a 16-yard touchdown pass. And I could even put to Samuel if I wanted to. That makes it 38-48. And let's perform an onside kick. What will happen is if we get the onside kick, if San Francisco gets the onside kick, then that's going to count as the possession for Los Angeles, and then it would be the next possession for San Francisco. So LA would sort of skip a possession in that case. So Los Angeles, what do we need? We need a 9 or a 10 on the kickoff. We have a 1, and a 1 is going to be a kick out of bounds. I'm not actually sure what the rule on that is, so I'm just going to put it at the 10 yards from the kickoff, which would be at the 45. So LA takes over at the San Francisco 45. And first and 10. So they got to have a hold here. LA on offense. We're on defense. We're going to run the 4-3 blitz. They are running a 1. They're doing an inside run against our 4-3 blitz. So we have a -3. And that's going to be 15 minus 3 is 12. And 12 is going to be a run for 4 yards. Brings up second down and 6 from the 41. Who was that? So that was a run by Sony Michel up the middle. Let's run our base 4-3. It's second down and 6, and they are running a screen pass. Screen pass against our base is a 0. So 10 on a screen pass. It's going to be 1d6 they get to roll. So that's a pass for 3 yards. Brings up third and 3 from the 38. And that pass went to Cooper Kupp, a little wide receiver screen out there. And third down, let's run the base blitz against... Oh, we're still on the goal line. Well, that's not going to help anything. Base blitz against the goal. I mean, against the 3rd down and 3. They're running a short pass. We have a base blitz, so it's a -1 against the short pass. So we have 7 here. No, sorry, that was a 1. We have a 7 -1 is 6. 6 on the short pass is going to be an incompletion. So we hold, and that's going to be 4th down and 3 from the 38-yard line. It's 55-yard kick. Let's go ahead and try the field goal. You can see here on 50-plus yard field goals, they are at 80%. So anything 3 to 10 is going to be a successful field goal kick for LA. It's a 1, and that's going to be a field goal block. So, and maybe I should have a block chart just to make sure that's a potential block. I don't know. That's a couple of blocks in a row. Maybe San Francisco is really good at blocking kicks. But that's going to be a block. We're just going to put the ball down right there at the spot of the hold. So let's say San Francisco ball at the 45, at their own 45. So that's exactly what they needed to get back in the game. Although now they need a couple of things to happen. But they're not going to, I don't think they're going to have enough time. Let me see. They're on 1, 2, 3. This is their 4th possession. And so they could still steal one more possession. So they still have a chance here. We're not going to just call this game yet. But we're on offense. San Francisco is. And we can just go ahead and move this up maybe. So San Francisco on offense. We're going to be auto rolling for the defense. Let's go with the medium pass. And we're just going to stick with it until we can't do it anymore. That's going to be against a base blitz. Medium pass is a -1. It's actually a -2. So 11, it's like taking away this die. So a 9 on a medium pass is going to be here, and that's an incompletion. So incomplete for Garoppolo, 2nd and 10. Let's run the inside run. They're particularly susceptible to the inside run. All right, let's roll that again. Dice came off the table. Inside run, 2nd and 10 against their base blitz. So that's going to be a 3. So a 9 -3 is a 6 on the inside run. That's a gain of 0 yards, so the blitz works. Brings up 3rd and 10. Go with the medium pass again. 3rd and 10, they're running a dime defense. So medium pass against a dime defense is -2. It turns into -3. We have a 15. -3 is a 12 on a medium pass. Sorry, that's for us. 12 on a medium pass is a D10 plus 5. So let's go ahead and roll our D10. So a 9 plus 5 is 14. That's good enough for a first down. So that puts down to the LA 41. And that pass, who did it go to? That pass goes to Deebo Samuel. Another 14-yard gain for him. 1st and 10, we're running that old medium pass again against their base blitz. So medium pass is a -1 with another -1. So that's a -2. 16 -2 is 14 on a medium pass. That's going to be for 12 yards. Brings up another first down, so that's going to be to the 29-yard line. That pass goes to Kittle. So over the middle. Medium pass over the middle to Kittle. Okay, we're running that medium pass. First down. It's a base, and then we got -2 plus another, so it's -3. And 11 -3 is 8, and that's going to be an incompletion. That's here. So pass incomplete. And that brings up 2nd down and 10. Let's go and run a draw play. Try to catch them napping a little bit. And a draw play on 2nd and 10. They're running a nickel defense. So a pass defense against a draw is a +4. With their defensive 1, that's a +3. So that's good. 5 plus 3 is 8. 8 on the draw is going to go for 0 yards. So snip that one out. It would have been even worse had we not had the advantage there. So a rush for 0 yards brings up 3rd down and 10. Let's go back to that medium pass. San Francisco has the ball at the LA 41. They need a score. So this is definitely 4 down territory here. Medium pass against the 3rd and 10. They're running their base blitz, and that's going to be a -2. Remember, we got to make the extra adjustment for the defense. So 13 minus 2 is 11 on a medium pass. For us is going to be a D10 plus 5. So 13 yards on the game brings up a 1st down. So pass for 13, and that brings up 1st and 10 from the, I'm sorry, I said 41. I was at the 29. That puts it at the 16, which is where we were last time when we scored. The pass there goes to Brandon Ayuk. So 3rd receiver getting into it. 2nd receiver, sorry. 1st and 10, we're going to run the medium pass one more time against this base blitz, and that's going to be a -2. 14 minus 2 is 12. 12 on the medium pass is same thing, D10 plus 5. So we roll, and we got 13-yard gain again. So that's going to be a pass for 13. That puts it 1st and goal at the 3-yard line. 1st and goal at the 3. Who was the receiver on that? That was Ayuk again. So going back to the well with Brandon Ayuk. 3rd and goal. Let's get our goal line chart up. We're going to try to pound this one in. 1st and 10. And let's go with the inside run. 1st and 10 on the defense. They're running a base blitz. The inside run is going to be a 3, but that turns to a 2. So we have a 2 plus 2 is a 4. 4 on the inside run is for -2 yards as they bust through the line and they drop the running back for a 2-yard loss. So it's going to be 2nd and goal from the 5. Who was the rush running back? Oh, that was for Stafford, huh? Try to run an RPO or something with them, I guess. Maybe a quarterback draw up the middle. So it's going to be 2nd and goal from the 5. Let's run that medium pass. 2nd and goal from the 5. It's going to be 3. This is a goal line. A goal line against a medium pass is a +2, so that becomes a +1. So 15 plus 1 is 16. This is going to be probably pretty good. So D10 plus 15. So that's definitely a catch. It winds up to be a 25. And I'm counting anything above what you need for a touchdown to be a TD. So we'll say a pass for 5 yards, and that's going to be a touchdown. So San Francisco, with some late scoring, a couple of blocked kicks at the end of the game, is getting them back in it. Again, they have to run the, let's see, where are they at? They're at 40. We can just kick the field goal because they would be at 45 if they get a 7 here. And that means if they get an onside kick, then all they have to do is kick a field goal. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's say it's a extra point try. Hopefully they get it. It's a 3. 3 on the extra point is good. And that's going to be another score for San Francisco. So San Francisco in the 4th quarter, they go to 45, 48. So a real barn burner of a game here. Pass for 5 yards. Okie doke. Onside kick. That's all we got left. If LA catches it, game is over. If San Francisco gets it, they steal that last possession. So let's see what happens. Again, it has to be a 9 or a 10. and it is not. It's a 6. 6 means the receiving team gets it, and that's going to be all she wrote for this game. So LA takes it, kneels it down, and that's all because San Francisco is out of possessions. I've been playing possessions and not time. Maybe there's a way to figure out timing, but I haven't done that yet. I've only been playing 4 possessions per team per quarter. So in this last quarter, 1, 2, 3, 4. That last possession for San Francisco was their 4th. LA gets the ball now. That would be their last one. Conceivably, they run the clock out. You could play out that just to see if there's any sort of turnover that results in a touchdown. Because if you do have a fumble and you hit on one of these, it could be the line of scrimmage, and then you roll here, and it could be a 62, and you run it back for a touchdown. I've had a couple of fumble returns for a touchdown. No interception returns for a touchdown, but definitely some fumbles. In fact, here, LA, this was a run and then a fumble from San Francisco, and then LA scored. So they scored on a fumble return TD, and that put them up 14-0. So that does happen. I rolled, and then you only had to go 25 yards or 26 yards. So I rolled over that 26, and that put them into the end zone for a touchdown. So final on this one is 48-45. LA over San Francisco. And I'll have to go through and figure out the stats and everything for this one. But on fire, any stars are scores, whether field goal or touchdown. And you can see a lot of scoring in the third quarter. Not much going on in the fourth, but it was all San Francisco in the fourth as they stormed back. But it was all LA in the first 2 quarters. And yeah, you can tell that the gameplay is thorough, but it's not difficult, right? I mean, you're not doing a whole lot. You're doing some, like maybe some basic math, but once you understand, like, is there an advantage here between the offense and defense, that advantage plays out the entire game, or it doesn't play out. If you wanted to take the momentum system and you wanted to play with the momentum system that already exists in No Huddle, you could do that too. If you have the momentum cards, you do it for the same things. So if there's a fumble or an interception, if there's a penalty, trying to think if there's another reason for that. I have big passing plays, so I guess you could use any 20 is definitely going to be a big pass play. That would be a big play. So you could try to mix and match with the momentum system. I think that there's a lot of moving parts already. But once you master this, if you wanted to put the momentum cards into it, that would be really cool as well. Again, you can play the game straight up as it was before. So we have all of these charts from before in the game with the attributes. You could play with the attributes. I did not play with the attributes in this one. But you definitely could, and that just adds a +1. Like for teams in the red zone, you would add an extra +1 for San Francisco, which would help them on offense. Remember, going this way is better, going that way is worse, and so lowering your roll makes for a worse offensive play. Adding to your roll makes for a better offensive play. All right. And we didn't have any penalties in the part where we were, but there actually were quite a few penalties in the game. Have a penalty here. This was a holding penalty. Delay a game. We had a sack in here. This was another delay of game. There was illegal hands on the defense, which was +5 plus an automatic first down. So that was kind of cool to see. A roughing, unnecessary roughness on the offense. So there were some penalties throughout the game. Not a ton of them, but just enough. There were some sacks throughout the game as well. So However you want to keep score, this is sort of a generic scorecard that I found online that gives you enough room if you do double-sided for a whole game. And there's not really any place for notes or anything like that. So if you have a better scorecard or a score sheet, you feel free to use that. But this is the evolution of the game and sort of where it's going. If you like to play one of the if you like to have the NFC West, I only have 4 teams sort of with this new layout, new style. And I'm just trying to focus in on, getting all of these things right, that there's enough detail in the game, but it still preserves sort of its ease of play. And I want to make sure that the play calling is good, that the results are realistic and good, and just maybe formulaic in my head about how to go about manipulating these results, so that they match sort of where the team is, especially in terms of interception percentage. San Francisco has an extra interception in here, just because they were at the top of the league in interception percentage. Same for LA, at the top of the league in interception percentage, as far as like high interception percentage, not low. And so they have an extra interception, in here as well. Stafford taking shots downfield, Garoppolo throwing picks, which we all know about as a part of his history. And so trying to reflect that percentage a little bit more and kind of tilt the game in different directions toward the way that the team actually played, especially on offense, because I think that that's really what is going to carry the game, is how the offense is playing, and the defense kind of gets dictated to in some way. Um, but there's enough with this modifier here. There's plenty, because I've tried to set up the plays here, the defensive effects, realistically. If you see something that looks out of whack and you're like, hey, I don't think that that should be so high, like here, an outside run on a blitz against a 3-4, should it be a +4 to the offense, or should that be a +2 or a +1, right? So are there things that look out of whack with the defensive adjustments? Like maybe that's too much or that's not enough based off of this type of defense. So a 4-3, you're really packed into the middle. So that's not going to allow for the inside run very well. A 3-4, you're more spread out. You only have 3 D linemen. So you should be able to run that inside run against them. A 4-6, heavily stacked to the middle, but anything outside and over them is going to be successful. But anything sort of right in the middle of the field and running at them is not. Medium passes and short passes is the teeth of the 3-4 defense. And then obviously deep passes, anything middle and deep against a 4-3, you're getting into a layer of players where there just aren't very many players, right? You have 4 linebackers here, and a lot of blitzing, a lot of sort of pushing and making pressure. 4-3 is more sitting back, but you only have three people at the linebacker level. A nickel is great against the pass, but not so great against a screen or a draw or any plays like straight up the middle. Same thing with a dime. They're really great against the pass, not good against the run or smaller, like shorter plays, pass plays to the outside. And then a prevent is really something you would only run when you need to cover a long distance, right? I only have it here on the auto for 3rd and 11. You might be running a prevent 3rd and long. You want to make sure if they need to hit a deep pass, then you want to be covering that. Again, you can call these plays yourself. I have some cards made up that I haven't showed yet, but they would be cards that each coach is holding if you are playing one-on-one against somebody. And right now I'm calling things out, but that's not how you would want to play if you were playing with a human being, because the second you call it out, they could just change their play like that and call out a different play. So you need a way to choose a play, hide the play, and then you each flip it over. So I have some little cards. with all of the different plays on it. And each team would have offensive and defensive cards. You can even play 4-on-4 or 2-on-2, where you have one offensive coordinator, one defensive coordinator, and that might be a fun way to incorporate more than just a one-to-one matchup. But each of these teams would have an offensive coach and a defensive coach, and each of them only controls the offense or the defense. So that might be kind of a fun way to do it as well. And then because we're rolling different dice, each team could roll the actual different dice, especially, these are home and away. So then you could just, each player could actually have the dice and be rolling on every single play. That way everybody's sort of involved in the game. You're involved in flipping the cards over. Each of those cards has a sort of strengths and weaknesses. So this type of defense is good against these offenses, and then that type of offense will kind of give you an idea of what sort of play, whether it's a long passing down or just 1st and 10. You have a real good mix of plays here. So trying to think about all the little things, especially playing the game head to head, which is a little bit different than solitaire, but also want to have that solitaire option because I know probably 90% of the people who play this game are going to play solitaire. So having this sort of auto roll on offense and defense is pretty crucial. That way you can either do like I did where I was choosing plays and then the other team is rolling the auto plays, or you can just do the auto for both and then just kind of watch the game play out. If you don't have a horse in the race or anything like that, you don't care who wins, or you just want to sit and watch the game play out. But they will be using very similar play calling, but there will be some differentiation in the actual results. So based off of their statistics for that year. This is No Huddle Football. If you're interested to play the NFC West, just let me know. Send me an email to advancedstatsfootball@gmail.com, and I'll send out these cards to you and the new charts, and you can test it out yourself. And I'd love to know, like, what do you think? How does it work? How does it flow? Are there things that need to be changed here on this sheet? Are there things that need to be changed here? The player finder is all new, and that's a whole layer that I don't really care about, but I know some guys care about, like which player got the ball in the play, who ran the ball, that type of stuff. So the player finder is here for each of the teams, each of the 4 teams. So I went through each of them. If you have penalties, you can just check the penalties. Basically, you just roll a D10 and then cross-reference whether it's an offense or defensive penalty. Again, this is only sort of your top 10 players by snaps. So these are going to be the players who are on the field the most. It makes sense that those will be the ones who have the most penalties. So if you want to mark that down, it might be kind of cool. There's a pretty good mix of different types of players here. I did not put the quarterbacks because quarterbacks are not going to hold and they're not going to delay it. Well, maybe delay a game, but not false start. So just do it where it makes sense. If you have a face mask penalty, that could be anybody. Some of these are going to be very specific. So if you have a pass interference, obviously, Bosa is not going to have a pass interference for the most part. So you might want to re-roll again. You might want to re-roll until you get a player that it makes sense. But most of these are guys who, maybe illegal contact and pass interference. I've got horse collar on there twice. That's a little too much. But anybody can have an unnecessary roughness or even an illegal contact. I mean, some of these guys that are not, if you're dropping back in coverage, you can have an illegal contact. It's possible. Anybody can encroach or be offside or have a defensive holding. If you feel like some of these are defensive back or linebacker and defensive back only, you could just re-roll until you find one of those players. Hopefully you get it on the first roll and it just kind of flows and makes sense. So that is that. And I'm trying to keep everything here so that it's easy to get to and easy to just kind of do one team to the next. Okay. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, I'm considering changing it to No Huddle Football. So Advanced Stats Football was actually a game before and is a game that is going to be very difficult for me to do, even though it's very cool and based off of advanced football stats, which is pretty awesome. It's got a lot of roles, and it's got excuse me, I think it's just got a lot of flaws. As I've tried to work out football, it's been very difficult. This is the first idea that has any legs, really. I've gone everything from 7-on-7 to um, more of an APA style. I don't know. I haven't been able to figure out football. It's been kind of grating on me a little bit in my mind because I want to, and I know it's there. I know you can create a game that's easy to roll out and doesn't require a lot of mental gymnastics. So I know it's there. This is the first like really good attempt at it, and it's been great to have the community's help as you've tested it. And a lot of these ideas have come from testers who are testing no huddle football sort of in its infancy, in its first iteration, and then giving feedback on that. It'd be great to have this, or maybe we can streamline it this way. So that's been indispensable, very necessary and needed. So I'm very thankful for the community to provide your input and ideas, and it's super helpful. So hopefully the game that comes out of this is a game that people want to play. Hopefully it's a game that's fun, that feels like football, kind of feels like the back and forth of football. You can see here this game tightened up at the end. It was at one point 48-23 at the end of the third quarter. So in the fourth quarter, everything tightened up, and San Francisco, it's like they finally got some momentum. They finally got some good rolls, and they put up 25 points against 0. So they outscored LA 25-0 in the fourth quarter alone, and still had an opportunity at the end of the game to get the ball and maybe kick a field goal for a tie, right? So it's it feels like an NFL game. I think this was a little high scoring, but there were some odd plays and some high rolls for a while. You know, we were rolling up in here, and it didn't matter what the defense was doing. You were just rolling up these high rolls, 15-20, and there's no adjustment on the defense that can bring that down low enough to stop you. So, really, if you're rolling in here, which is the norm, which is your greatest percentages are going to be between 8 and 12 or between 7 and 13. That's going to be your high percentage rolls. So most everything is going to come through this section. These are very uncommon. These are very uncommon. And as you move this direction, these rolls get more uncommon. So everything through the middle is, that's going to be sort of your common plays. Um, so we're just rolling high the entire time, which that happens in tabletop games. You get high rolls for a whole game. You get low rolls, and your team gets steamrolled. So that's the beauty of it. I think that's why we actually played them. That's why it's interesting. And no two games are alike, and I think we're going to find that with this game as well. So very interested in your thoughts. So send me an email if you want to play these. If not, you just want to wait till it comes out, that's fine too. But just know that this is the direction it's going. LA wins 48-45 over San Francisco. This is 2021. And obviously the better team by a couple of games. But two pretty evenly matched teams, two good defenses. Just LA, a superior offense last year, and really took it to a lot of people. Okay. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments section below. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, subscribe. You got nothing actually to lose. You'll be notified if you click the bell icon. You'll be notified of new videos whenever I post them. And as this game continues to develop and eventually goes live for sale, there will be more of these football games to be had, and more on the channel. Don't know how much we'll be doing because baseball is coming soon, and so I'll sort of be shifting focus over to on base and some other baseball games, but still producing NBA games with up tempo. Still looking ahead to baseball, and got a couple of different baseball games out there. So still looking ahead at creating some new things, and then this is going to be a third offering on the plate with football. And really, I don't know if I have any more football games left in me. I got a lot of ideas, and I don't know. I don't know how they would all flesh out in the end. They require a lot of roles because football is just like a really uh, there's a lot of things happening at the same time in a football game, and it's a lot, man. And you can tell just all of these sort of scenarios that have to happen, and it's just a lot going on in football that doesn't happen in baseball. So baseball's a little bit easier, but it's a more crowded space too. So hopefully this football game will play well and you'll love it and just buy every season. So, and one of the things I was thinking about this morning was how easy this is to translate to old football. Some of the things that I was doing before advanced stats football was not going to work for anything before like 2015 or 2018. Um, so this actually plays off these values here, the defenses, the kicking, the play, everything you see here, is actually doable for 70s, 80s, 90s football, even all the way back, to the 50s, as long as they're keeping things like um, total offense, total defense, field goal percentages. Um, these are all just based off of interception and fumble percentages plus, completion percentages. Obviously, for an older game, it would be heavy on running, which would have to be reflected up here. Um, but man, I think it would be easy to do 70s, 80s, 90s football with this. So I'm kind of excited about that too. The fact that there would be a football game that could extend backward. I know a lot of gamers who watch this are going to be interested in older seasons and not just modern stuff. So, um, sort of excited about the future of no huddle football. Um, okay, I think that's actually it. And I appreciate you watching. I appreciate your support of the game. Again, if you want to play, just email me, and then I will send these out to you. advancedstatsfootball@gmail.com is the email address you can send that to, and I will get everything out to you as quickly as I can, usually same day. All right, that's it for me here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next time.